Okay, so we've talked about substitution. I'm going to show you just one example of advanced substitution. We were going to do this on Tuesday, but we had our snow day. So I got to kind of cut things back a little bit. Now, this is not the most important thing for us right now. We'll practice this more as we go through chapter 6. I want to show it to you, but I'm going to tell you that this is not going to be on our test. Okay, so I'm going to show you one example. We're actually going to skip the warm-ups because we had some great questions during our homework time where we went over this stuff. And we're going to look at number 3 here to start off with. Yeah, sorry, there's no more packets. It is on Canvas if you'd like to print another one. Otherwise, you can just copy this into your notebook. Okay, now, we can't do substitution on this problem just yet. We're on page 9, folks, if you're looking for the right page. Look down in the corner for page 9. What's the problem here? Why can't we do substitution? There's no y equals, right? Look up at number 2 up here. You see how number 2 has an equation that says y equals? If we could do substitution here, we would take this 3x minus 8 and put it in for y right here. But we can't do this because we do not have an equation that says y equals, do we? Here's what I want you to do though, folks. Look at these 2 equations, because I would like to tell you that one of these equations I could make say y equals pretty easily. One of these equations would be really, really easy to get y by itself. Do you see which one I'm looking at? And what is it? What is it? So we have a suggestion that the top one might be easier. What is it about this y that makes you think it's going to be a little bit easier? What do you think, Ben? If we add 4, so all we'd have to do is get rid of this. We don't have to worry about dividing anything because there's no coefficient, right? So here's what we're going to do. Let's copy this over here so we got some space underneath it, exactly as it is. And if we're going to do substitution, then we want to be able to have an equation that says y equals. So let's make that happen. Let's get this y by itself. We can easily get rid of this minus 4x. We'll just do plus 4x, right? Of course, we got to do that on both sides of our equation. But now the minus 4x and the plus 4x cancel out. And what we're left with is just y, correct? Y equals what? Now, can I combine together this negative 13 and this positive 4x? Can I put those together? Why not? They're not like terms. This one doesn't have an x and this one does. So I'm going to need to put them both in there. This is a total style choice. There's no right or wrong answer here. But would you prefer to see the negative 13 come first or the 4x come first? 4x. Okay, anybody on team negative 13 first? Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I kind of like having the 4x first also. But if you want to have that negative 13 come first before the 4x, that's fine. Just make sure you got a plus 4x because it is positive. All right. So check it out. Now we can use this. We're going to forget about this equation up here because we've turned it into a new version. And now I think we can substitute, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this 4x minus 13. I'll come back to you in just a sec. And we're going to put that into now. Big question here. Would I put that back into the top equation or the bottom equation? We've always got to put it into the other equation. Since we got it from this equation, we don't want to put it back into the same equation. You can give it a try sometime. Something weird's going to happen if you do it. You'll be better off to put it in the bottom. And when I put it in this bottom equation, am I going to put the 4x minus 13 in place of the x, or should I put it in place of the y? What do you guys think? Does this go in place of the x or in place of the y? In place of the y, because why? Because that is what y is equal to, right? Y is equal to this, so it needs to go in place of the y. So please for me right now, go ahead and copy down the second equation, but leave the y out and leave me a space that we can put in the 4x minus 13. So now we're back to just substituting. So that's going to go right in that spot there. 4x minus 13. And then from here, we're on easy street. We just got to solve it now. Can you put that phone in your bag, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I don't like these parentheses, so we'll get rid of those. I'm going to be really careful because I got a negative number that's multiplying here, so watch your signs. Negative times a positive is going to be a negative. 4 times 4 is 16, and we got an x in there. And then I got negative 4 times negative 13. Is that a plus or a minus? Negative times negative is a plus. Who knows what 4 times 13 is? 52, thank you. And we'll bring down the rest of our equation. Hey, do I need to bring this minus 4 down also? I left that out. Do I need to? Why do I not need to? Because we included it already. We multiplied it into this stuff. So it's it's in this red part here already. So I don't need to bring it down because we already took care of it. All right, I see a couple x's. These are both on the same side of the equals, so we can stick those together. Negative 8x and negative 16x is going to be an even bigger negative number. 8 and 16 is 24. All right, those are some big numbers, but that's all right. We got calculators. Getting this x by itself now. I think the plus 52, we'll deal with that next. Let's go minus 52 both sides. Negative 24x equals, that's negative 72. And then we'll almost have x by itself. That negative 24 looks like it's multiplying the x. So we'll do the opposite of multiply. We'll divide on both sides by negative 24. And I think that works. Positive or negative first? Positive, and then 72 divided by 24 is 3, yeah. Have you ever heard 72 hours? Someone says, I'll have that done within 72 hours. It means 3 days, yeah. 3 times 24 is 72. All right, are we done? No, we are almost done. We only have half of our answer though. So let's finish up this last part because it's nice and short. That'll give us the rest of our answer. We need a y value. Now check this out. Remember before how we could choose between the first and the second equation to plug this back into and solve? We actually have 3 options now because we have 3 different equations that we can choose from. And one of them looks like it's going to be a lot easier to solve for y than the other 2. Do you see the one I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about using this one because it's already got y by itself, right? I think this is going to be easier to plug and solve than it would over here. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. It is y equals 4x minus 13. Why did I leave that 4 out? I'm sorry, why did I leave the x out? We're solving for y. Well, what am I going to put in place of this x that I left out? We'll put 3 in there. We know x is 3 now. Y equals 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 minus 13 is -1. So final answer. X comes first, then y. We are done. So this is substitution, but it's got that extra step. The only difference between this and the couple homework problems that we went over today is we had to do this extra step here to get y by itself in one of the equations. I'm not going to give you this on the test, but you're going to see some of these pop up in your homework assignment. So I wanted to go over at least one. Let me answer a couple questions here. We'll start here. So the question was, in order to get full credit, would you have to make this? Is that your question? That's a great question. So it depends on the type, it depends on the instructions for the problem. If I tell you to do substitution, then yes, you can't do substitution unless you got an equation that says x equals or y equals. That's the only way you can do substitution. So I would need to see this. Now, on the test, you're going to have a section where it says just solve it. Use whatever method you need to, right? And you can actually do this problem a little bit faster using a different method that I haven't shown you yet. We're going to start on that today. So if it was on that last page of the test where you get to choose, if I were looking at this, I'd probably do it with using elimination, which I'm going to show you today. But if it said specifically, some of the questions are going to say, do this using substitution. And if it says that, then I need you to show that stuff. You feel good about that answer? Thank you for that. Great question. Other question? Okay, you're looking ahead at the next problem. So we're not going to go over this one together, but because you've looked it over, let me show you how we would tackle this. I would say in this problem, I would probably be getting this x by itself. Because see how it doesn't have a coefficient, so I don't have to divide. And if I divide, that's what's going to cause the fractions, right? So it sounded to me like you got the second equation by it, and you got y by itself, and that's why you ended up with fractions, because it had a coefficient. So when you do have to do this, you want to look for the variable that does not have a coefficient. Yeah, absolutely. So you would end up having something that would eventually, and we're not going to do this whole problem. You'd have something that looked like that. And then you would take that and plug it into your other equation in place of x. Okay. All right, we're going to move on here to our new stuff today. Does anybody have any lingering questions about this example that we just did? Okay, I need you to be able to do this. You'll see it on the homework, but I'm not going to test you over it this time. All right, you guys are doing great. You're going to love this next thing. So if you could flip your page over to lesson 8, please.